Interview, and we grew up around the public works when the public works was a going enterprise, a serious going enterprise with your uncle Newton Prevost, people like Emmanuel Lovertie Greenaway, Lovertie,
Mr. Green.
Mr. Green, the master mechanics, Gray, the famous lathe operator who could cut parts. Tell us about that from Maho. Yes, tell us about that.
I think what's interesting about that is that I think at the time the Dominica Grammar School had a technical wing
Yes.
that kind of started guys into that field.
Like Webb and Robbo and these guys.
And those guys would transform or be transferred from the technical college to go over to public works.
Yes.
So a bunch of kids like Poi,
Yes.
Mafato, Alin Carbon,
Yeah.
Flick,
Yes.
Rasta Flick,
Yes.
Roberts.
Yes, yes.
Who's it? I mean, a bunch of brilliant guys got their start working in that lathe shop.
Yes,
At,
and we're just saying that, the current regime has wasted so much money. They have not really looked at workforce development, because you said something that triggered that Gray was so good that people would bring parts for him.
Yeah.
Right? And instead of waiting for parts to be imported,
He would make the parts.
he would make the parts.
Right there.
Right in the public works. Before our very eyes, Momo.
Yeah.
Because we could see him across the fence.
Working away. And there's a guy, is that Solomon Lane, the one at the back of the Goodwill Parish Hall?
Yes.
I keep forgetting this guy's name, but I think this guy made, he was the first guy to make a trike motorcycle. And
You talking about Ernell Charles, man?
No,
The Charleses?
not Ernad. Ernad used to work at Public Works, but a little lower down, this kid had the sort of dune buggy kind of.
Yes, yes. But you sure it's not Sam Boy?
No, it's not. I knew this guy's name, but I just came out of sight, out of mind.
We'll get it anyway.
But this kid would come to Gray for Gray to make parts for him, parts that he needed when he was making the transformation with that trike or whatever he was making. Eventually, he became somebody who learned the craft too. And I think when Public Works they were dismantling Public Works, he bought some of the lathe machines from
Yes.
Public Works and started making parts for
Just talk about the brilliance of our people and how we have failed to nourish more of that brilliance. Greg Lewis went to technical college and was at SMA around your time. Greg used to make parts for the space shuttle. He had a CAD machine, computer-assisted design machine, up in Rockville. So when I would leave court sometimes, he got married to Winnie Lewis, Sam Green's sister. Winnie Green. She's not Winnie Lewis.
Oh, okay.
And he would make parts for the space shuttle. So we've had a lot of brilliant people in our time. So tell us, how did that existence in a middle-class enclave with high school education affect our orientation politically?
These guys basically were, they were almost like mentors, not knowing that they were mentors, because we would have conversation with these guys every day. These guys would come in the back, hang on, we would all be like little googly eye guys just hanging off the fence and just listening to every word that these guys were saying, because again, right during that time that these guys were there, the Dread movement was huge, and one of the guys who was a lathe worker there, what is it? I don't know what is his proper name, but I think we used to call him Flick. Flick ended up being a Rasta out of there. That Sorrento guy, we used to call him Mafato, came from there and became a police officer, and then Poi became a surveyor, and Aline, I think.
Carbon.
There's Carbon, but there was another guy from Portsmouth, I think, was having. That guy was another guy who worked in it. But basically, this was our learning institution. That's where we learned a lot of stuff, and I think guys like you would be involved in the discussion that we were having. And
tell us about give us some names of our friends in that era, in the lane, who would hang together. When Rosie Douglas came back, who were the people?
Well,
let's say David Phillip, Commissioner's son.
Penny. Yeah, Penny. We all David. You three guys. You, Dave Phillip.
When you say you mean Gabriel Christian.
Gabriel Christian, Dave Phillip, and Paul Tour. And I think Paul, maybe you were using Paul as your. I think Paul was your first. How do we call that?
Convert.
No.
Artist?
It was like you were practicing on Paul because you guys would argue from 5 o'clock in the afternoon to 10 o'clock at night.
My first student. Under the telephone pole by your house.
Yes, so
remember that, Mo?
we could say there you were a budging lawyer right there because you know
My
we
first
could
juror.
Yeah, right. Your first juror, right there. You guys would just go at it just for hours and hours and hours, and again, there was just something unique about you guys, us guys growing up, that we paid attention to a lot of things. We emulated what our peers before us did, and I think we even moved past them in terms of the things that we were able to do, that we were able to achieve.
Yes.
So
It's interesting, for instance, the Linton boys, Bentley, Linton, Ken, Reid, to me were more with us than Lennox. Lennox was an outlier somewhat. Would you say?
Yeah, Lennox. Well, he did participate with us too.
Yes.
Because when table tennis was popular, he was our #1 tennis player. Because when they had the tournament, the fire station, fire brigade, he placed the highest. And I think he next was Tilly, Hillary Thomas, my brother, and Kevin Stevenson, third. So these three guys, again, we took a team from Gotha, we would call it Gotha, and went to the table tennis tournament.
The fire headquarters was the main table tennis joint.
Unbeknownst to us, there was a kid that played table tennis every day by the name of Fube. Didn't know that this guy was a master table tennis player, and that was Johnson guy up Eugene Johnson and what's her name, Yolan Johnson.
Yes.
Stumpy, what was
Stumpy.
his name? Is it Stumpy?
Yeah.
He played in that tournament too, and he brought a sort of chop spin stuff that we've never seen before, So he sort of stood out in the tournament too. But back to and also play sometimes cricket with us and soccer. We had a soccer field close to where the Deepwater Harbour is.
Yes, we even had our own team. Got a Rovers.
That's here.
Or Got a United.
Yeah. Herbs, just tons of names.
And our colour was, I think, gold.
Right.
Yes, that's gold, man.
Yeah, but even going back then, the first before the strike in '79, there was a demonstration either the year before or months before at the Goodwill Parish Hall.
Yes.
I don't know if you participated in that.
Is that the one in the river?
No. That was just all civil servants that assembled at the Goodwill Parish Hall because that was basically the meeting ground for.
Yeah, that was there was the '77 strike.
So Lennox started making placards. So he made some placards, and he took a Bible. I remember that we took scriptures out from a Bible, and it was maybe 8 of us, and we made placards that day. And what Lennox did was he took out portions of the Bible, made placards to that, and we all started marching from their house in Didier Lane to the parish hall. So we get to the parish hall with all our placards. Nobody has placards. We're the only ones with placards saying, "Thou shalt not." I don't remember verbatim what those placards says, but somebody told Charles Savre that there are a group of guys downstairs with placards, and that wasn't what it was about. It was something totally different. And now wasn't the time for that. Charles came downstairs with somebody else, and they took all our placards away.
What? That wasn't it.
I'm sure Lewis can remember that,
But before we go into the politics,
activism in us was always
there.
I mean, 1979.
Before '79, Momo, do you remember the football riot? Were you there for the football riot when Dominica was playing St. Vincent in the Winter Park?
Oh yes.
And they ill-treated our partners, and people decided to.
They stormed the field, guys.
They stormed the field, and we chased them down to Cherry Laws Hotel, and they arrested Atta.
Yeah.
That was the first time one of us was arrested.
Remember that.
That is Clem Philip.
Carlton Phillip's son.
Yes. He's in Texas now. I speak to him now and again.
Yeah. I mean, we always had activism, it's part of our DNA,
So let's talk about the overthrow
The
of Patrick John.
overthrow,
Where were you on that day, May 29th?
the statute of limitation might be still in existence, so we can't talk about the we can't talk about that, boy. Stuff that we did, man. You know, I think we're gonna take that to our graves.
Let's say it was a revolutionary moment.
We were very active. I remember we walked about in the same Didier Lane and Liberal Lane and maybe those government buildings in Royal Lane and what's the lane at the back? I don't remember the name. And we broke every lamppost light.
Yes.
You know, we took catapults or BB gun. I think we had jigs and we would just walk and we would just blow. So that whole area during the Revolution, 79.
Yes. No lights.
We block off the whole area.
Yes.
Now, Patrick, one of his favorite watering holes was at the
The Harris's, yeah.
So you'd always go there a couple of times in a week or maybe the day. So one day we built a barricade right in front of your house.
Yes.
We built this massive barricade so that he was going to get out from the neighborhood. I mean,
Yes.
I don't know where these architects came from, but we built a barrier that Patrick wasn't getting out from there. And it had to take his guys to come and dismantle that. You know, they took maybe an hour to dismantle that stuff that we had already built up put there. And we would challenge PJ.
Yes.
We would challenge PJ, man. We young kids.
Young kids. 13, 14, 15, 16.
Man, we're up in these guys and we're giving these guys hell, man.
Yes.
So,
You know.
What
do you think now when you look at and you hear about young Dominicans involved in gangs and crime and not reading their books and not involved in civic organization? And
man, I think, honestly, I think partly we have to take some blame because, I mean, as they said, we all left and went to seek greener pastures. And I think that created a huge void. So there was nothing for these guys to mentor after. We had mentors. You know, we had people who came before us, who did things and, you know, even you, Gabriel, we always celebrated African Liberation Day.
Yes.
I mean, we knew Desmond Trotter and Roy Mason, you know, we knew these guys.
Yes.
Herby Shillingford. We knew Claude, you know, as I said, we personally knew these guys. And, you know, these
So when
guys, these young
after
guys
Hurricane,
they don't have that.
so after Hurricane David, there's a massive exodus.
I think, that's sad because 5 years after Hurricane David. Well, you booked before that, you know. I left after, you know, a couple of years after, you know, and just by then, I mean, I was away already.
So basically, you go back to Lane and there's nobody there.
There's nobody there. We left by the time, we were all in the States when the Grenadian Revolution happened.
Yes.
We were all in the States, and we knew that was something that was germinating from a long time. One of the islands, most people thought that Dominica was going to be the first country that was going to, one of the islands, it was the first island that would have happened.
Yes.
Out of nowhere, Grenada
Yes.
had the revolution before us, and that was a surprise. Because I remember when Morris Bishop came to Dominica and had a meeting.
Yes.
You know, because he came there again. I think it was a movement of
movement for New Dominica, but he also first came because he represented Desmond Trotter, you know. Brian Allen represented Mason.
Oh, okay.
So the first time I saw Morris Bishop,
that's the time. All right.
Yeah.
And next thing we know, Morris Bishop is
President of the Revolution.
you know, a coup in Grenada led by Morris Bishop.
Yes,
you know, and there's
yes.
somebody that we would see because as kids we always go to that courtroom with Desmond Trotter.
That's right.
I mean, that was the entire country.
That was the OJ case of its time.
Oh my! Yes, sir.
Yes.
That was.
And just for those who will maybe listen to this and not know, we're talking about the murder in 1974 of American tourist John Jurezek outside Fort Young, and the arrest of Roy Mason and Desmond Trotter for the crime. Roy Mason was acquitted. In fact, I met him at the funeral of Gustav Larocque's brother in New York not long ago. And of course, Desmond Trotter was convicted and sentenced to hang, but the Commission of Mercy basically cancelled the hanging, and he escaped from the prison after the 79 Hurricane David, and he went to Grenada. where Bishop at that time was the prime minister of the revolution, Grenadian Revolution. Yes,
Man,
indeed.
we had a wonderful time, man. We you know, and you know what's interesting, you know, what I find fascinating is guys like you, Gabriel, never, you never wavered. As you know, as of today, you still had that vision of Rosie and what Rosie stand for, what Rosie meant to you and to others. Remember, you had you created the Rosie Douglas Foundation, and even bestowed upon me and my wife medals which we still have hung up in our house. You know, from the Douglas Foundation for work we've done. You know,
In film and in
promoting
textiles.
yeah,
And
promoting Dominican culture.
you had your own television station.
Back in New York, you know, producing stuff, you know, about Dominica and letting people know things that were happening in Dominica.
Morrison, you and Kathy were operating at a high level. I remember seeing television clips of you and Kathy having, interviews on Dominica in New York City. I mean, in the 1980s, 90s, that was outstanding.
We did that. We were, I would say we were ahead of our time.
Way, way ahead of your time. You represented the first sort of public television from the Caribbean diaspora in New York City.
Yep, got an award. Got an award. Won what's called a Kappa Award and a hometown.
And that was
festival
Mocha
award.
Productions. Mocha being Morrison Kathy.
We got the pinnacle of that is that we won in 2001. We won a hometown festival in our hometown West. You had like 55,000 contestants, and that included North America, Canada, United States, and Mexico.
Let the record reflect as I'm pondering the first and only leather jacket, that I ever had made for myself was a special made by Morrison and Kathy, Mocha Productions.
We sold a few of those, but that again.
You made a fancy black leather jacket for me.
We made some for Jamaicans too, with the Jamaican flag, and one for a Haitian guy. So we would we were digging in. We had our own store in Manhattan. We had two locations in Manhattan.
Yes.
One in the Bridal Building and one in the Fifth Building, 257. But we weren't walking around tooting our horns.
I know. But we thought it was the Rosie Douglas Foundation was set up as a foundation to perpetuate the national development philosophy of Roosevelt Douglas, which was about putting Dominicans first, creating a technological and scientific basis for Dominican business, promoting Dominicans in the diaspora to unite with Dominica, going all around the world to speak to Dominicans to come back home. And then in 8 months, he was gone. Tell us about the day he died. Tell us how you got the news, Mo.
Well, I had a interesting enough. When we were on the scene, I think we were the first active Dominican group that was in. Well, when I say group, it was just me and my wife, but we assisted the consulate in a lot of things that we would that they would.
You talk about the Dominican consulate in New York.
The Dominican consulate in New York at the time, and I think Miss Edna Murphy was the consulate general at the time, and she gave us that latitude, and we basically did our best trying to help. So we got news. I think we got news of his death from the consulate, and then I think all of a sudden news was just.
Yeah, I remember you called me that morning.
Yeah. So I grabbed my camera and my light and my production kit, and I ran down to the consulate. I think I still have the footage somewhere. I gotta dig that up because I have at least 10 tapes on Rosie that I haven't up to this day. I don't think I ever got the 10 tapes.
Because we need to digitalize it, let me know if you can send me if you can send me the VHS, I can digitalize and send you back the VHS because what I think you did, Moms, you may have actually also, I think I have some tape where Rosie is in a New York City meeting.
Yeah.
I suspect you're the one who taped that.
I was the one who videotaped that. Yeah, that one. And I think he also brought up a team with him, a video production team with him.
Yeah, Matt Peltier and his
so
people.
he had his team.
He has his